Oh my God, we're back. Hello. Good morning. Who's that in the background?
Morning.
There's the Nadia Sawalha of the telly. How are we all? How is everyone? Good morning. Welcome to Saturday. How are we all?
Good morning, team. How we
Good
doing?
morning. Good morning.
Did you miss us? Did you miss us this much? Do you
Oh.
remember that with the kids?
Yeah.
Do you love me this much or this much? Like when your arms go all the way around.
How is everyone? Welcome. Hi, Faith Goodman, Lynn Sheard. So lovely to see all your names. Cloda, Maria S. Oh, Nicola Randall, Elliot Gonzalez. How are you, Elliot? How
Hey,
are
everybody.
you? Simona, Cherry Rumsey. I don't think I've seen that name too often. Good morning, everyone. It's Saturday, and we're going to be taking you through the papers. Glad to have you back, says Wendy Stewart. Tez. Hello, Tez.
Hello, Tez. Hello, Cloda. Hello, Margaret. Hello,
Cloda, Claire. Oh.
Hello, Sammy.
Gabrielle.
Hello, Margaret.
Steph.
Hello, Karen.
Jens. Julie, the singing nutcase, has gifted 5 memberships already.
Oh,
so
that's lovely.
Sweet.
Thank you. Hi,
Pauline
Louise Pritchard.
Buckingham missed you too.
Right, guys, I'm going to go and get ready for Curly Cooks Croydon.
What time is Curly Cooks today?
Curly Cooks is at midday. I'm not sure what Dina's cooking. I haven't seen her yet.
Oh.
But I am making... We had a really lovely Caesar salad on holiday, and I was reminded of how many of them are so shit.
Yeah, Caesar salads.
So I'm doing the Ivy's recipe. So it's going to be really sensational.
I only like a chunky salad.
Lovely chicken, all beautiful, fresh anchovies. Don't have to add them in if you don't like them.
Oh.
It's going to be mwah.
Mwah.
So I'll see you there for that.
Well,
and for some chat.
And for some chat, absolutely. Michelle Nye, hi Russ, hi everyone, Maisie. It's so lovely to see you all. So lovely to see all your names flying up. Okay, well look, we're going to crack on. For those of you listening on podcast, you're thinking, what the hell are you talking about, the Curly Cooks? That never happens on podcast. Of course it doesn't. It's another show. What's the best cheese for a Caesar salad? Don't know. What is the best cheese, Mark Cooper? It feels like that might be a joke. How are we all? Saab Turbo, happy birthday. Happy birthday to Saab Turbo. If you're wondering who I'm talking to and you are listening on podcast and you've stumbled across this podcast as a news podcast, then yes, this is happening on YouTube right now. Bless you. Thank you so much, Hazel. So big news. Well, the big news that landed last week, obviously whilst we were away, was the tragic story around the Matthew Perry story. Has anyone been following this? The arrests, the 3 of the 5 in this sort of criminal gang, if you like, or group of hangers-on and sort of all that kind of stuff. I just, the sad demise and the sad end of Matthew Perry's life, which obviously was shrouded in such sort of you couldn't tell if it was an overdose. It wasn't an overdose. Then you thought, was he engaging in drugs in a sort of, truly illegal narcotic fashion, or was he being administered or administering himself, drugs that were part of his kind of depression treatment, all this kind of stuff. So it's shrouded in mystery. And of course, the story has now emerged that those closest to him, his kind of, the court, if you like, of Matthew Perry, was a pretty unsalubrious, nasty, conniving group of people who were leeching him for money, basically, and feeding him with drugs and saying some of the most awful things about him, sort of damning him, saying, let's see how much this fool will pay. So at the center of all this is someone called the Ketamine Queen, Jasphine Sangha. Now, of course, she's the dealer. She's the one who sold the drugs to the doctors, to the assistants. They used code language. They referred to ketamine as Dr. Pepper. They referred to ketamine as bots, and so they had other words. They used encrypted kind of technology. And there's a suggestion that he was injected with 27 jabs of ketamine, I believe, in the 6 days running up. Injected with up to 6 shots of ketamine a day. How he was betrayed by the people supposed to protect him. This is the Daily Mail. But yeah, on the last day, on the day that he died, he was also injected 3 times by his assistant. Now, his assistant let's pull this up, is the chap on the right. His assistant is the one who talked about, let's see how much this guy, this idiot, is willing to pay. He's not medically trained or qualified to administer these injections, but he was shown how to and told how to by a doctor in the group. This guy on the left, obviously there's a picture of Matthew Perry and Jennifer Aniston on the right. This is Dr. P. But all the papers leading with this images of this woman, the ketamine queen. And of course, the sort of, whilst there's the horror of this sort of emanating story, and, the LA district attorney has brought this case. Three of those charged have pled guilty already. So I'm sure they're probably on a kind of plea deal where they're going to, it's this idea that if you plead guilty, you're still going to obviously get time, but it's not going to be as bad because you're going to admit it, you're going to cooperate, and you're potentially going to reveal more about those other people who are caught up in this drug ring. And I think that's one of the things that's emanating out of this. Here's another image of Matthew Perry with his assistant. Now, the ketamine queen herself was also let's go back to this other image here. She was also involved she supplied or sold drugs to, I think, a young man or a boy in Alaska who tragically died from taking too much of the ketamine that she supplied. And his family or his parents rang her or contacted her to tell her that her ketamine was responsible for the death of their relative. And she, apparently, one of the immediate search terms on her kit, her tech, was, "Can ketamine kill you?" I mean, so, she's obviously, she was kind of a proud supplier to A-listers in Hollywood. And in fact, I think after the death of this other guy, would add a note saying, "Do remember, this is really good stuff. This is strong stuff." So a real sense of poor old Matthew Perry being absolutely exploited by his close circle of people he would have thought were his friends, his assistants. But this isn't the first time I've heard of this. Here we go. You get 3 chances in court to plead guilty. If they plead guilty the first time, they'll only do 25% of their sentence. Thank you, Mark Cooper. There you go. It's not exactly a plead. It's not like a plea deal, but it's like, be honest up front. Now, the worry, of course, is the ketamine queen going to throw open her contacts book? So, of course, the rest of Hollywood are, apparently there's who else is in her book? Who else is in the hot book of supply and all this kind of stuff? But I think for me, just the tragedy of all of it is the exploitation of him. Here's a sort of packet of ketamine that was, I think, found at the scene. Perry's Ket Queen linked to second death. This is being reported in The Sun. This is the story of someone else prior, I think 2 years prior, having also died, taking the same or taking drugs from the same woman. There she is, from an Instagram post, living the lavish lifestyle. There's another image there of Matthew Perry with his assistant there, Iwamasa, looking sort of almost a bit sort of, protective of his quarry. It's just horrible. Stars, drugs, panic is kicking off all over Hollywood. Again, the paper's really pushing that story. But I think for me, his parents, Matthew Perry's parents, have gone back into kind of, if you like, mourning. They issued a statement simply to say they're pleased to see that the authorities are investigating this seriously. And I think that's really important for them to know that this wasn't just, or potentially his legacy wasn't going to be, and not that this is like the legacy that you should have for someone who's struggling with addiction. If he had been lost to picking up the drugs and taking them and an accidental overdose, that's tragic enough. But I think there will be something important in this for his parents, albeit distressing on a completely and in a completely different way, that he was clearly being exploited by those around him. But I have to say, again, when you've dealt with a lot of these kind of PR teams and publicists and all this kind of stuff, it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me the extent to which there is an entire micro industry, or not even micro industry, but an industry or a sort of a subculture of those people kind of trying to feed off the addictions and the, if you like, the mental health problems of the rich and famous in Los Angeles. In other news that landed whilst we're away, Brits warn to get mpox vaccine. Are you going to get the mpox vaccine? We're going to get onto the lighter stuff in a moment. I wonder if I wonder if she'll reveal other celeb stars. She'll probably be on a reality TV show in a few years. Don't say that. So this is a deadly outbreak. I think people are being urged to get vaccinated to protect themselves from a deadly strain of mpox. Outbreak across Africa declared a public health emergency. The statistics, one always worries, doesn't one? 15 countries with confirmed cases, 450 people have died from the illness in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The problem is, I don't think we would worry about this so much if we hadn't had COVID. Anyone who gets this vaccine needs help. What do you mean? In terms of do you feel this is the press kind of fanning the flames of something? So common signs of mpox are a high temperature, swollen glands, backache, and joint pain. It's rarely terminal. It can only be exchanged sex is a very easy way to pass it on, but extremely close physical contact. It's an STD. All the research shows it's essentially, it's a very gruesome looking STD. So that's in all the papers today. Israel expects UK to join significant attack on Iran. Israel's now kind of, we're very close, by all accounts, very close, apparently, allegedly, to some kind of a ceasefire. I mean, it all feels a bit too coincidental that Biden and Kamala Harris have got the Democratic convention. Suddenly it's all going to... And Iran have attached these kind of conditions, haven't they, to how they respond to the killing of the Hezbollah and Hamas senior operatives and leaders. They've said, well, if you can find peace through a ceasefire, we may refrain from retaliation. Interesting that anyone in the region has connected any of their kind of behavior to a peaceful resolution. So what Iran have said is, if you can find a peaceful resolution through negotiation, they won't hit back. If only all players in this conflict had shown such sort of, moments of, negotiability or a willingness to kind of say, look, they keep delaying it and allowing Israel to carry on. Well, you could argue they keep delaying it. At the same time, it's interesting, isn't it? When this is the part of the whole Israel-Iran broader conflict that really surprises me. No one is talking about the fact that Iran, post, having again been sort of infringed through international law, strike on their land, all this stuff. No one talks in terms of, they're showing quite surprising restraint, actually, the Arab nation. Aren't they showing restraint? No one talks to how anyone's not doing anything in response yet. What everyone keeps talking about is how Israel is allowed to keep hitting. It's like everyone has to show restraint but Israel. This is the part of it I don't understand. Everyone must really behave themselves apart from Israel, who can do whatever they want, whenever they want, to whoever they want, and demand and expect the UK to join in on a significant attack. So David Lammy has said no, because as Michu rightly says, if we were to agree, that would be the end of the Labour Party's second term. I mean, but does anyone else get this? So what happens is provoke. And then when Iran, so everyone in the West is waiting, or supporters of Israel are waiting for Iran to do anything formal, so they can go, see, told you, but no one's saying anything about them not doing anything yet. And actually putting stipulations of, let's get to a ceasefire and we won't do anything. this staggering hypocrisy, staggering, discrepancies in what different countries, how they're held to different accounts. It's just astonishing. It's just astonishing. I've missed our level-headed news presentation, but it's flabbergasting. I think this must speak to a crass stupidity amongst everyone who's promoting this genocide in America and Israel, because they've got to be stupid, because they're not even making a success of selling it to us. You can't be this obviously sort of, jaundiced and, murderous and inflexible. And and actually think you can get away with it, unless you're actually just fucking stupid. I just think these leaders are stupid. It's insulting. They they take us all for fools, absolute fools. Anyway, a little bit of Israel there for you. Lamy is told Britain will be counted on to take part in any military response to aggression by Tehran, but David Lammy has said no. Hang on a minute. We're not going to be dragged into that one. So watch this space. It's going to get interesting. So what do we think? So we could have a peace deal. They're all saying isn't it ironic? There's a deep, dark, painful irony to the idea that they're saying that Biden is somehow the architect of this peace deal when another $20 billion of armor and military has just been signed off and sent to Israel. How can they square this round peg? Don't understand it. Literally don't understand it. Britain's worst looter. He nicked bath bombs, gift cards, and gingerbread men. A rioter who looted Lush, Greggs, and O2 has been jailed for nearly 5 years. This has obviously put a stop to the why. It was good to come back and not see that the riots had carried on. So do you think, guys, what do you think stopped this? Do you think the strength of the sentencing made people go, fucking hell, mate? I'm not going down the pub and then out to kick a few things if that's what's going to happen to me. What do you think? If Israel can't defend itself against Iran, then that's the leverage the West can use against Israel to force it to accept a ceasefire. Yeah, good point. Good point. I like that. What do you think? Imagine, 5 years for bath bombs. It's a bit embarrassing, isn't it? It's a bit embarrassing. 6 years is the longest term yet for, what's this lovely looking chap? A thug who forced 3 terrified Romanian men from their car during a riot has received the longest sentence to date. He got 6 years. They need to be strict with the rioters, and that will just put people off. Because then, getting a Greggs pie, no disrespect to Greggs pies, but it seems to be something, shopping at Lush. I wonder if he knew when he was looting Lush that Lush has a very sort of, as I understand it, I think Lush is raising funds, aren't they, for to feed children in Palestine. It's ironic, isn't it? It's ironic. 6 years, 4 years jail for bath bomb rioter who looted Lush. Prison terms handed to members of baying mob who attacked car and Hull. He got 4 years.
For looting Lush?
For nearly 5 years for looting Lush, Greggs, and nicking gift cards.
Oh,
what don't
they're all looking very silly now.
Very silly. Here's some photos of them in case you want to really scare yourself late at night. There you go. Costa, this is tragic, this story. I don't know if this story, the Costa coffee failure. The mother of Hannah Jacobs, who died after having an allergic reaction to dairy products. She died after having one sip. The mother has accused the food industry of treating allergen safety testing as a tick box exercise. This kind of reminds me of that. There was the story, wasn't there, of the tragic girl, was it pine nuts in a sandwich in Pret? The whole nut allergy and... she died on a plane. That's right. It was opened on a plane. And in fact, on one of the flights that we did, they had to make an announcement of not opening any nut allergy. Making an announcement, is that enough? If you've got someone on a plane with a nut allergy, I don't know if it is it? I think you have to go through a complete kind of lockdown, because if it gets into the atmosphere, it could be terrible. But this is just tragically sad. Her mum said she ordered 2 soya hot chocolates, told staff of Hannah's allergies, asked them to wash the jug used to make the drinks. But a post-mortem found that Hannah died after an ingredient in her drink triggered a severe allergic response. The mum added, treating allergy training as a tick box exercise is just not acceptable. The root cause of this death is a failure to follow the processes in place to discuss allergies, combined with a failure of communication between the mother and the barista. I tell you what, it makes me think of. And also, the barista will feel ghastly, and I do have to say, I think it just speaks to, again, that split second shorthand. If you don't just, there's something so simple and meaningless to some of us, is a matter of literally of life and death for, for someone else. And so, it really is just, whilst one might think, oh, is this really a thing if it's not affecting you? You have to, just because it doesn't affect you. I think we live in a time where more and more people are only thinking in terms of how does this affect me all the time, as they do everything, as they pass through shops, as they get coffees. Elliot Gonzalez, people don't take allergies seriously, think it's being fussy. My sister has a severe nut allergy, and often on a plane, people will laugh at the no nut allergy announcements, not fully understanding. There you go. There you go. Absolutely. Companies should have strict procedures, says Steph, in place for staff to know what to do. Apparently, you should carry 2 EpiPens. Didn't realize you should carry 2, but Dr. on ITV this week said you need 2 EpiPens. What if you have allergies? Yeah. Me too. When I order a quarter pounder without cheese, I warn the server that if there's any cheese, that branch will have a lawsuit on their hands. Wow. Yeah, I mean, the slightest, what just seems like a shortcut isn't a shortcut. So yeah, I thought that was tragic. This story was kind of interesting. Rise of self-defense key rings hiding stun guns and knives. This is on TikTok. So have any of you got these? Self-defense key rings with potentially illegal stun guns and knuckle dusters are being sold to women in the UK on TikTok. Safety key rings, often in colourful designs, are intended to clip onto bags. They contain protective equipment such as rape alarms, seatbelt cutters, and criminal identifier spray. I mean, people are kind of up in arms about how dangerous these are. One account on TikTok, let me just pop up an image. One account on TikTok, I mean, that looks pretty damn lethal. I mean, my only concern with all of this is, the phrase that's often used with knife crime in a city, which is if you, as a young boy, go out with a knife for self-defense and self-protection, so many cases of stabbings happen to people with the knife they've taken out. So I'd say I took a knife out to just make myself feel safe. I could end up later that day being stabbed by someone who's, mugged me or attacked me and taken the knife and done it to me. I think there's always that risk with anything, isn't there? But when I think back to the 70s and 80s, I always remember women back then. I remember the introduction of a rape alarm, because I remember one going off in our flat and no one being able to find almost like a grenade, the thing that you needed to put back in it to shut the fucking thing up. They just couldn't shut it up. But this account on TikTok has multiple videos showing the key rings equipped with items including cat-shaped knuckle dusters, rhinestone stun guns, pepper spray. I mean, yeah, we can get all hot under the collar about, I don't know, but women are living at a time where they're feeling less and less safe. The idea of having a seatbelt cutter, that's a great thing. These kind of curious things that can get you out of these situations. Hi, Christos. Looks like a knife straight out of Game of Thrones. It does. It's. But I mean, how tragic that women are feeling they have to turn to these things in order to feel safe. Chi-Chi's got a toy. Women leap into the... Okay, we're getting into the light stuff. Women leap into the unknown with salmon sperm facials. Look at this. You just got to have that headline, haven't you? Really? Women leap into the unknown with salmon sperm. I mean, what? Why is it always some animal sperm as well? Why does it have to... It's whale, wasn't it, at one point? Wasn't there snail goo at another point? A therapy popularized by celebrities is still a mystery short on proof of benefits, according to the Times. Here's up here. This is who's this at the top? Alex Pike, a cosmetic nurse who shows off the effects of it at the clinic she runs. How do we know she's showing off the effects of it? I mean, phone filters and makeup, and we don't know that. And how many salmons does it take? This isn't a joke. How many salmons does it take to deliver enough sperm? Do you get me? Salmon sperm, it's all a bit fishy if you ask me. Anyway, Kim Kardashian is another major proponent. Do you remember there was those other things like vampire facials where you get your own blood? I mean, what is all this madness? I mean, I didn't realize this, but apparently am I right in thinking, I think cyclists, like Olympiad level cyclists, they avoid doping. They have complete blood transfusions. Of their own blood. I think they'll have all their blood taken out and then they'll have their blood. So it's like a wash jet. Really? Salmon sperm. Bumble tumble, dating apps in crisis in US, a singles tire of numbers game. Look at this advert for Bumble. You know full well a vow of celibacy is not the answer. So Bumble have come under attack. I wonder if anyone has tried male human spunk. Faith Goodman, I wasn't expecting you to write that. Yeah, there's ample of it. You know full well a vow of celibacy is not the answer. Talk about kind of trying to gaslight your entire female. Luke Anderson, I had to dissect a salmon, and let me tell you, there's not a lot in there. Oh my God. So were you just dissecting in the right place? So this is Bumble Tumble, dating app Bumble, marketed as the feminist Tinder. It featured an advertising campaign featuring a woman attempting to swear off dating and become a nun, only to find herself lusting after a hunky convent gardener. They've used the idea of perhaps wanting to not have sex so much as a bad thing. So dating apps are kind of taking a bit of a knock. And more people, apparently more and more studies are showing that people are wanting to meet people in the natural way. Which means joining running clubs and sewing clubs. These are some of the suggestions here. A running club. I don't know many men. I'm not suggesting for a minute there aren't sewers here. I can't think of many men I've come across in my life who would go to a sewing club, if I'm honest. Yeah, the great abstaining. Apparently, New York Magazine's The Cut website has confirmed that there is a trend at the moment of celibacy, a great abstaining, which is what's caused this dating app to kind of suggest, no, you need to go out and have good sex. You need to get out there and don't be celibate, don't be a nun, get cracking. But what a weird way to sell your app. Get out there and FUCK. But more and more people now are wanting to meet in the old-fashioned way. Here we go. Running clubs, sewing circles. You're only going to meet a particular type of person, I think, in a running club or a sewing circle. I mean, you could have a running club and a sewing circle where you run and sew. You probably got very, very, very sore fingers. This chap here, Diet Coke hunk, sues over brain injury suffered on beach shoot. A male model who found fame as the Diet Coke hunk, claims he suffered a brain injury when he ran into a colleague during an advertising shoot on a beach. I kid you not, this is for real. He's suing the company for brain damage. He claims he collided with another model. We've got another image of him here. Model sues for brain damage after hunks in trunks collide on beach. He says he collided with another model and was left concussed on the sands of Puglia after being instructed to run down a dune. He says the accident caused a brain injury that has seriously hampered his career as a model. Now, no smart-ass comments on career as a model and brains and all that kind of stuff. And that's it. He says since then he's had to turn down some high-paying work owing to the effects of the accident. Doesn't really talk in any detail about how it's... Oh, here we go. Post-concussion syndrome, mental symptoms including anxiety, panic attacks, and depression from colliding with another model, running down a dune. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that could be serious. Yeah, it could be serious. Much of Mr. Cooper's claim is for lost past and future income. His lawyer says he's had to turn down lucrative contracts when the work involves flashing lights, learning lines, or action sequences. Actually, so yeah, concussion. There could be some merit in that. So yeah, this is a bit of an odd one. Barclays customers should stick their heads in buckets of fuel and set it on fire, says Chris Packham. Sorry, don't do this at home. He's talking about the fact that Barclays Bank, environmentally a suspect. It seems like Barclays Bank invest in everything that's questionable, don't they? Including the Israeli government. Speaking at an event last weekend, he said, if anyone here is banking with Barclays, I suggest you stick your head in a bucket of fuel and set fire to it because you're burning our planet down and it's time to put this behind us. His comments have been criticised as incitement. I don't think he meant literally. I think what he was trying to say was, banking at Barclays, drawing out a fiver at the cash. Well, you can't draw out a fiver, can you? Drawing money out of the cash till at Barclays is like you're putting your head. You may as well be putting your head in a bucket. Barclays supported apartheid in South Africa. I remember even saying to my granddad when I was nigh high and he banked at Barclays, saying, "I don't think you should bank with them anymore, Dad." He didn't listen to me. It's a stupid thing to say. It doesn't read well. No, doesn't read well. And he's such a kind of spearheading, inspirational figurehead sort of individual for the whole kind of environmental thing. But I don't think he's literally saying it. Look at this, Britain in Bloom Battleground. I love this. Years ago, I did a series called Countryside at War. And I tell you what, hell hath no fury like a Britain in Bloomer. Britain in Bloom. Tyrannical fucking what are they called? Not daisies. Tyrannical kind of what chrysanthemums. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like a pretty flower and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, they're fisticuffs. Police called in as village feud erupts over destruction of fresh flower haven. Try saying that again. I'm trying to say that. Police called in as village feud erupts over destruction of fresh flower haven. Yep, they've put in little kind of horse trough raised beds. And then this chap, Mike Hodgson, and his partner Shirin, they've been pulling them up. It was a project that was meant to turn a sort of unlovely part of a Welsh village, meant to make it look lovely, attract bees and butterflies and all that kind of stuff. I failed to take a photograph. Here they are kind of putting all the lovely flowers. It's pretty, isn't it pretty? It's pretty, isn't it? It is kind of pretty. I like a raised bed. I think that's nice. But it's caused upset because it's right next to and in front of the house of this chap. Would you like a raised bed of joy, enforced floral joy plonked in front of? I think it's about how it's been put there, if I'm honest. Let's imagine. Okay, so the idea of putting a raised bed anywhere near your house and everyone collectively going, oh, wouldn't it be nice just to make everything a bit more butterfly-y and bee? I get that. That's nice, isn't it? What's not to like about that? It's butterflies, bees. Yeah. But maybe they did it in this way, which is, really think we need to put it here. And excuse me, I hope you don't mind, but we're putting this here and we're going to plant loads of things and it's going to bring butterflies and bees. And it's like, well, can I just, oh yeah, well, that didn't bloom well, did it? No, you're absolutely right, Crystal. So I think it's about how they go about it. Can I still drive into my driveway? There you go. So Green Energy Company boss Mike Hodgson was so enraged when the raised bed was created outside his house that he stormed out, ripped up all the flowers. Let's have a look at him again. There he is doing it. And then tried to dismantle the entire structure with an angle grinder. Flipping heck, Mike. Terrified. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. Terrified pensioners who were among a group of 30. You got 30 people down the end of your garden constructing a raised bed. It's like, fuck off. I've got a little bit of sympathy. Terrified pensioners who were among a group of 30 working on the project sat on the planter in an attempt to protect their efforts. So you've now got 30 pensioners acting like Just Stop Oil gnomes. The dispute marked a low point. This is a low point in a decade-long feud between Mr. Hodgson and their neighbours. He's also been barred from the So Mr. Hodgson, let's pop him back up. There he is on the right. He's got he's a bit notorious, this chap. He's also been barred from the Eagle and Child pub, who complained about access for customers and brewers, deliveries being blocked. So he's obviously got a bit of argy-bargy. The local said, we hoped this planter would be the beginning of a planned project of 6. But Mr. Hodgson said yesterday, the planter encroaches on the property where we conduct our business and was erected without planning permission. It's funny, isn't it? As soon as you hear the words of each side, now I think he's a miserable old scrote. But then when they're all sitting on the planter going, yeah, we're going to put 6 of these here, I think, oh, for fuck's sake, you do good. It's sod off. Anyway, it does make me laugh. Britain and Bloomers. Kung Fu. What do you think this could be pertaining to? There's a little clue at the bottom of the W there. Yep, this is Bruce Lee's pants are selling for £15,000. You could wear his pants. Kung Fu. Did you get it? I like that. Daily Star, always a winner. Always a winner. Kung Fu. Bruce Lee pants and weapons go under the hammer. They've also got his, look, there's his handwritten training plan. It's very hard to make out, but I see that he liked to jog at the same time on a Tuesday, a Wednesday, and a Friday. It'd be nice to be able to kind of take that and see if we could do it. Look, you do 6 to 7 sets of stomach benches or sit-ups. But yeah, anyway, would you? Here's the thing: whoever's buying these, let's not beat around the bush. Yeah, there are memorabilia hoarders, people who like kind of things of the rich and famous. There's movie props, all that kind of stuff. I get it. I understand that collectability and collectibles. Do you think whoever buys the Bruce Lee's pants is going to put them on, or do you think they're so sacred that there might be a sacred Bruce Lee stain or something in there that needs to be protected? Or are they going straight on? Or are they a jokester? And maybe they're going to pop them on their head and pull their hair out each of the leg holes. Who knows? Kung Fu. You talk about Kung Fu fighting. There you go. And there's his workout routine. Megalithic mystery. How did Stonehenge's altar stone get from Scotland to Wiltshire? This story made me laugh. This popped up on my phone whilst we were away. And I thought, how the fuck do they know this shit? This is prehistory. This is prehistoric. They don't know this shit at all. How did Stonehenge's altar stone get from Scotland to Wiltshire? Fucked if I know. Fucked if we know. And I would hazard a guess it probably didn't. I think this idea that, okay, they were druids. And druids that are tens of thousands of years old won't have been as sharp as a druid of today. And a druid of yesterday, I think even a druid of yesteryear would have thought, hey, Galfaldon, or whatever his name is. Let's call, hey, Galadin. I think that's a sort of druid-like name, isn't it? Galadin. There's this great bit of rock up in Scotland. Let's drag it all the way down to fucking Somerset, or wherever we are. Is it Somerset, Wiltshire? And let's do something with it. What? I reckon this has been knocked there by something. It either fell or a meteor. Yeah, you got a bunch of druids trying to drag some massive bloody rock from Scotland. And, and if we're not careful, we know what you Scots are like. You're going to want it back, aren't you? What are we going to do then? Stonehenge, kiss goodbye to it. Brief history of all-time bestsellers, Hawking's book on the Big Bang. Here's our top 20 favourite reads. A Brief History of Time is the most popular book over the last 50 years. Can't say I've read it. Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, 2nd. Delia's Complete Cookery Course, 3. Notes from a Small Island. Look at this already. It was only released recently. The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse. Ellery Jones, we certainly, so many. My God, you sweetheart. We're not allowed to open them for different times. Very, very sweet and very, very kind. And we can't wait to, Ellery. Very, very sweet. You're an absolute diamond. And I think you're on Instagram. I'll drop you a little line. But yes, you're absolutely naughty. But look, also in there, The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman too. I don't know. I was quite surprised by this. I think I was a little bit depressed, if I'm honest. Not a lot of fiction in there. Stephen Hawking called it rubbish a few years later, but couldn't rescind on it. Oh, so it's a work of fiction. There you go, another headline. Delia and Bridget stand the test of time. Some nice headlines here. Jam first preparation of Cornish scones could soon be the preserve of the elderly. Do you see what the Telegraph did there? It almost feels like the Daily Telegraph had someone from the Daily Star come over and say, we're doing something about jam, we're doing something about scones. Preserve. Let's use the word preserve. Cornish-style scones in which the jam is spread before the cream could be in decline. YouGov did a survey of more than 54,000 Britons and found that younger people were less likely than older to put jam on their scones before the cream. It's over, kids. That eternal, constant, really boring fucking question, you put cream on or you put jam on, is done. It's gone. The kids aren't interested. They're busy being celibate. Do you get me? Jam first, cream first. Who the fuck cares? Who the fuck cares? Yeah, you're absolutely right, Meechum. It's the only thing that could cause a riot. I predict a riot. Oh, don't mention the riots. Don't mention the riots. But in a gasp, what? Page 3 of the Telegraph, another headline? Are you joking? Check this one out. I've been this. Oh, this is a sad one. This, I felt really feel for this guy. Read it. I've been silenced for being too keen, says the town crier sacked by city council. Now, I have to confess, you know, when you get someone, you know, for those of you who aren't from Britain, in the old days, every town had a town crier who would come out with a bell and go, hey, yo, hey, or some noise, ringing a bell, and then they'd announce the news. This was CNN back in some fucking weird Georgian times. Anyway, this guy, Terence Mullet of Hereford, I haven't got a photo of him, sadly, but imagine a man with a hat, incredibly smiley, the hat's pushing down his ears a little bit like that. Listen to what Herefordshire Council have said to him. Listen to this. They've terminated his position with immediate effect. He's a town crier. And Hereford have said, the town crier, while we support any efforts to promote tourism in Hereford, the town crier doesn't typically fill that role. The town crier is a minor ceremonial position featuring only a handful of events each year. This is going to be really hard for him. Mr. Mullet complained about the council's perceived lack of cooperation. He said, I took pride in the role. But basically, Hereford have said he's impeding our efforts to serve and promote the city. Basically, he's ringing his bell too much, he's shouting too much, and he needs to shut up. That's what Hereford Council's saying. Poor man. Too English properly. Oh, good shot, lollipop. Riot, I predict a riot. I predict a riot. Here we go. Ex-bookkeeper, 72, in a spin. I spin me right round as debut dance single becomes a cult hit. Look at this chap. Look at him playing his funny little tiny something or other. 72-year-old retired bookkeeper is releasing his debut single in which he raps about the pleasures of going to church after being signed by a record label. Tony Morris from Glasgow gained cult following by performing at electronic dance music events across Scotland and publishing his 59-second mini songs that he does for TikTok. I love that. It's like an elaborate kazoo that when you blow down, you put it down the toilet, blow it, boy oh boy does it clear the old system. But there you go. Look at that. In his old age. Dodo's not slow, just had foes. Anyone get to the bottom of this one? I like to lead you up the garden path. Okay, they found out some interesting, neat new facts about dodos. Is anyone else I'm quite interested in dodos. Whenever I look at a dodo, I think, wow, that's a chicken. I mean, that's how a chicken should be. In fact, I want to eat a dodo. I really do, because they look like they've got a right plump chest. But anyway, dodos were not wiped out by humans eating them all. They were wiped out by cats and rats, which is why this headline has emerged. Armageddon. Get it? Armageddon. It's Daily Star again. They never fail. Nice that they put Mog in red, though, so we got it. Boffins reckon the flightless birds were not clumsy and stupid, and they could actually run quite quickly. But they were no match for the rats and cats that came off the ships that landed. I'd love there to be a dodo somewhere. I love dodos. All right, I've made that point. Banana gene breakthrough could save fruit from fungus that threatens extinction. I just wanted to read that. Anyone else having a problem with bananas at the moment? Anyone else having a problem with fruit in general? We just came from a country where there was lots of fresh fruit and it was all awful. Awful. Off the menu too, other foods that could be threatened. This could be diabolical for some members of the family. Potatoes, the Maris Piper, could be about to go out. Honey could become incredibly scarce. And tomato ketchup could be on the way out as the global harvest of tomatoes has reached an all-time low. Honey takes a back seat to healthier nutty rival. I hate peanut butter. I love where we go. I love where we end up with coffee moaning on a Saturday, don't you? In all sorts of weird and odd places. This is, since modern peanut butter was created, it's always been less popular than honey, but now the roles have reversed. Sales of peanut butter have risen by 7%, and it now outstrips honey. Show me the money, honey. So honey is now less popular than peanut butter. My best pal's a backstabber. Daily Star front page, really important. Oh, you like honey with peanut butter, me too. Brits love a backstabber. This doesn't surprise me. Being a backstabber is guaranteed to make you more popular. They reckon a gossiping grouch will get more friends than someone who's being nice. after a study showed that we love to listen to people ranting. Basically, don't trust those closest to you because they're all backstabbing you. That's what they say. Researcher Jamie Cram says, we tested a novel view that under certain parameters, venting can make the people vent to support us over the people we vent about. As much as people readily admit that we compete for romantic partners, people seem less willing to admit to compete for friends. Brits love a backstabber. Have you been backstabbed? Are you a backstabber? I think most backstabbers know when they are backstabbers. I think they do. I think they know secretly. It's why they take to drink. Indiana Jones's hat has sold for $488,000. Woohoo! What a fedora. Look at that. Fantastic. Toast your flight. 3 in 4 sink brekkie pints at the airport because all bets are off. When I used to get to the airport as a raging fucking psycho alcoholic, get those drinks in now because no one's going to judge you. But the weird thing is everyone's judging each other. Everyone's looking at each other like you've got a drink problem, you have. Have you noticed that? People sitting there like, oh yeah. It's like the time zone just completely goes out the window. So secretly, we'd all like to drink at whatever time we can. Channel 4 finally gets the go-ahead for I'm a Celibacy. Bosses have found enough virgins for new sex show. New TV dating show for virgins will go ahead. Well, not surprising.
What the next?
Oh, what the fucking hell is Dina in the background? And this is curious. I'm not surprised that they found them because let's not beat around the bush. Bumble's share price has been decimated because most youngsters are now engaging in celibacy. Promiscuous celibacy. It's like actively forever locking yourself into rooms. A new TV dating show for virgins will go ahead after producers finally found some. Channel 4 spent more than a year, though, looking for people who haven't had sex, who are willing to have sex on telly. Oh, what's the world coming to, Dina? Help, I'm in a bit of a flat. There's a dog with its head stuck in a cat flap. They had to call the bloody... who did they have to call? They had to call fire crew in to get them out. Look at that. Square head in a round, well, square head in a square hole. It's just a huge square head. And just to sign off on, this is a remarkable image here. Look at this. See this? This guy, I've just got rid of his name. Basically, he's an artist, performance artist, street artist, and he's dressed like that, like a sort of Banksy mural. So you see him standing in certain positions around Edinburgh, and you think he's a Banksy mural, but it's a person. He's kind of like an embellished version of that Yoda that's in Covent Garden. And finally, dad jokes are good for you, says the Daily Star. Elevators terrify me. I'm taking steps to avoid them. I got an email saying, at Google Earth, we can even read maps backwards, and I thought, that's just spam. What do you call a man with no shins? Tony. Oh, me and my friends put a band together. We named it 999 Megabytes. Still don't have a gig, though. Oh, dear. I got into a fight with 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. The odds were against me. Oh, I had a dream that the ocean was filled with orange soda. It was a fantasy. Just got hospitalized due to a peekaboo accident. They put me in the ICU. Okay, that's enough of that. All right. So,
very, very good.
Yeah, very good dad jokes. Just one other one here. In college, I was so broke I couldn't afford the electricity bill. Those were the darkest days of my life. It's not really a joke, is that sort of description of what's happening? Anyway, guys, the Curly Cooks are back, and they're going to be here in half an hour. Thanks for sitting there and listening to me dribble away. I hope you've got the news. That's what's in the papers. And so we'll see you in half an hour. Just